Well, once again, this time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
Hey folks, Dave in the AM here with the Southern Fried Podcast and the Cornbread Nation. For many weeks now, me and Rob have been telling you about our affiliation with Dubby Energy Drinks. I've been drinking some of them on the show, and I just got in today the powdered version, and this is the Pond Blom version of this. And hey, I tell you that it gives you the focus and the energy without the jitters or the crash. There's no sugars, no fillers, no artificial dyes. So get you some Dubby today. Use the promo code Southern Fried, and you'll get 10% off each and every order. Not only can you get the energy drinks, but you can also get some cool merch items. In fact, soon we're going to have a hat to show you as an example of some of those things. There's shirts and other things you can get as well as containers to mix up the powder and the water into that you can carry with you. We appreciate your support of the Southern Fried Podcast and also of Dubby Energy Drinks. We'll see you again soon. Take care. And good morning this fine Saturday morning here across the United States of America. I'm Dave in the AM with the Southern Fried Podcast and the Southern Fried MAGA Show. It's good to be here. It's absolutely beautiful on this crisp, not too cold Saturday morning. I hope you're going to have a good weekend. There's good things to do. Weekends bring about a lot of stuff. I like it when it gets into the spring, the festivals start. We're going to do some of those. But there's always something to do on a weekend. I mean, you just look in your area probably within a 1 hour driving and less of where you live. There's probably at least 30 to 50 things that are going on, depending on which direction you're going. You just have to find those things. Some small, some big. I like it. I where I live, you look into different areas, and some days I think, boy, there's a lot I could do today, and it's a real hard choice on where I would go, and all that's within an hour. And if you expand that out a little bit, a 2 hour trip's not too awful bad. You can do even more. So it's pretty amazing. Even through the cold winter months, there are some things to do that are indoor. So find you something good to do this weekend. Of course, Sunday church, and have a good time worshiping the Lord. We're glad to be here. Thanks for being here. Those that are here, NV Patriot there on Instagram, and others that are coming in. Rob won't be with us this morning. I do not believe his family in, but we do want to come on. Lots of news. This is our third episode of Southern Fried MAGA. We haven't been on since the inauguration day, though. Trying to find the spot for this, and this may be the spot. I don't know for it, but man, so much going on with the MAGA movement, making America great again. That could come from local things. That could come from state level actions that are going on in your state, and we'll look at all those, and of course the federal. And President Trump is moving so quickly with his administration with so many different ways. I just want to capture a few of those things and talk. If you've got something you want to talk about, throw it in the chat. We'd be glad to talk it up. We are on Podbean this morning too. We got to figure out how to get, when Rob's in, to go to Podbean. We had some echoes problems. We're going to figure that out and go to Podbean Live. We do upload our programs to Podbean. We don't go live there, but we go live when it's solo. And so welcome to those folks that might pop in from Podbean. We're excited to be there. The air tragedy that occurred and is still being investigated in D.C. There's so much coming out of that, and there's a lot of people throwing, slinging mud against the president, things he said, and one of those was Pete Buttigieg, and who's out of the government now. But boy, he likes to go on and talk about those things that he's doing, or what the president has not done. And there's some on townhall.com. There's a scathing report on some of the things that even he admitted was wrong with that airport way back in 2023 and even into 2024, where he said that there were close calls and near collisions were out of control. So he acknowledged that. And so what did he do to fix the problem? I was talking to a ex-military man, and of course there's probably hundreds of thousands of people that could acknowledge this, but he talked about how I just talked to him yesterday as we was doing a volunteer event at the Chattanooga Food Bank, and he was talking about the intensity of flying into that airport, how overpacked it is on flights, and it was never designed for that much, and that he's been involved. I've never flown into that particular airport, but I've known that for some time that there's so much activity going on there. But he liked to complain or like to say that President Trump needs to lead. Well, what did he do to lead? The FAA Inspector General back in June of 2023 had some things to say about this this airport, and 77% of critical facilities, or across all of the transportation, 77% of critical facilities staff below threshold. We know that there's a shortage of workers across the United States. Everybody deals with it, but in some places you've got to do what you got to do. You got to get that up. You can't go lean like that. That's not an area that you can do that. Also, they had said that that they lacked a plan to address staffing challenges, so they didn't even have a plan, posing a risk to continuity of air traffic operations. The FAA cannot ensure it will successfully train enough controllers in the short term. That was back just not that long ago. So it's another really incompetence. I mean, if they allowed this to get out of hand like that. So, he wants to sling mud. Well, he better be careful, because he was the one. I mean, the changeover administrations just occurred, and he wants to complain about what was or was not done as far as this airport. Well, his fingerprints are all over it, and it was much like anything else that he I wouldn't say did, because there's not much that he did. He was always in the news for riding his bike, which some of that was fake, by the way, too. I don't know if you ever seen old Pete. He loved to show his bike riding skills. Unfortunately, they trucked the bike in a lot of times. They only rode a short distance, fake, and didn't get anything done. I mean, his time as the head of the transportation was utter failure. And so, and the hiring practices. Now, I didn't go through this report, but the libs of TikTok on X has pulled up a job, the qualifications to be, this is from the FAA's website, and a current job listing for air traffic controller. And, we do hire people with disabilities in many jobs, but this job had within it that you a lot more disabilities than something about, having a bad leg or something like that. It even listed some crazy things like having psychiatric disorders, potential, bipolar, schizophrenia, PTSD, major depression. Bring it on. Okay. I mean, I'd be like, do you want to go have surgery, and your surgeon has, been rubber stamped through and given a, almost like a express lane education, and has all sorts of potential mental issues, but yet they're gonna be the one opening you up and operating on you. I don't think any of us would want that to happen. So that seems to be the way they operate, and then they want to blame everybody else when the failures occur. So, Pete needs to sit down and shut up. He really does, and he comes across as arrogant. And again, what did this guy accomplish his whole time in this role? What did he accomplish? And that's the measuring stick, really, for anything. That's the measuring stick for any of us that work. It's the measuring stick for a president or a leader of a corporation or whatever it is what did you get done? It's not, there's always those that will say what we'll do. And of course, we measure our administration, the president, on what they got done. And of course, Trump accomplished a lot. President Trump accomplished a lot the last time, and he's accomplished a whole lot the short time that he's been in office. Pete was running around, really highlighting other things, which I'm not going to go into, but we've all seen it and we know what his agenda was. And then the stupidity. I will say this: his stupidity, and it's what it is. It's just he's crazy. When he was talking about the racism is why we don't have good bridges or roads or whatever it is. I mean, seriously, this is the guy that was in that position. Again, I will say what this article says: sit down and shut up. I mean, first you didn't accomplish anything, and what you did accomplish was a complete disaster. And two, you're not there now, so you failed in your job. You didn't do a good job. You failed all the way across it. You emphasized and highlighted things that were either they're just pure lunatic, or they're very not natural and not normal. And then you want to criticize those that are in office now. Really? This was a guy, by the way. This was the guy. I remember way back. This was a guy that they were putting forth, meaning the left. They were putting this guy. Remember, this was a guy they were saying was going to be a great candidate for president of the United States. I remember that. I remember how there were some pretty high influential people on the left who backed him early on in primaries. That they thought he would be this great president. You remember that? Seriously, can you imagine the train wreck that would have been? No pun intended of things we talk about. But yeah, this is just he's not credible, and of course he has the freedom to stand up and talk. This is America. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that, Bub, you're come across as empty-headed, man. You didn't accomplish anything, but yet you want to criticize president. And of course, President Trump scathed him. I mean, that's why he did, and he's right to do so because they didn't get anything done. But this airport is, and I get it. I said, I think last night, I get that, military's got to train. I mean, that was to continue to be certified. There are things you have to do. I'm all for that. Absolutely. But why do we have to do that in a civilian airline flight plan or flight lanes or whatever you want to call it? There's all kind of places around the country that we could do that safer. There are military bases that we could set up those same scenarios and stuff around. And again, I know they were also transporting people in and out of there, so they had to remain trained for that. I get that. I'm not going against that at all. But it should be something that's looked at. I will say that. Hello, Creek Sick. How you say that? Hey, I'm doing good. How you? I'm doing good so far. I'm doing great, actually. I feel better. I know my voice still doesn't sound great, and I apologize for that. Allergies have been brutal, and a lot of people. There's a lot of sickness across the area that I live in. There's a lot of people. A lot of people I work with are sick, and it's a lot of upper respiratory type stuff. And so I'm not the only one. I know some people who's missed work. I took off. We had a volunteer event yesterday, and then we went to lunch, and some people went back to work. I sent my boss a request for a half-day vacation, and I just took the rest of the day and rested until our show last night. Thank you for the follow. I will reciprocate. I promise. We appreciate that. Appreciate you coming in from that stream, and hope you're doing well. What area of this world are you coming from? We're just curious. I'm in Georgia, United States, up North Georgia, and certainly give a shout out for where you're from. We want to recognize that. And thanks for being here on this Saturday. There's another article on Fox News, and this goes back to, again, Pete's home stomping grounds. The Oakland, California, this city is $130 million in deficit, and it threatens to cut its firefighting capabilities. So I know that in order to, the president's they're going to have to, get this figured out, these states. I mean, we've already seen a massive burn down that has happened out there and continues. But Oakland is officially it's 129.8 million. So 130 if you average that up. And it could eradicate up to 30% of its firefighting capabilities or capacities. It's depleting a strap department already stretched thin by station closures, according to sources on the ground. Fire response times in this California city are already 3 times the national average after budget cuts that recently closed 2 fire stations and kept a newly renovated station from reopening. Awesome, India. Well, welcome. What a awesome come in at 7:45 p.m. Thanks for giving me the time. I always wonder about that, what time of day it is where you're at. That's I know we have someone come in from Australia, and I'll say good morning, and they say good evening or good night, because it's way late there when we're early morning here on our morning show. So, and that's a massive place is India. I've had some friends who traveled there. I've never been there myself, but I've had some friends who have went there for business and or ministry, and all over the place. So it's and I do keep up with some ministries that go on there, and and support those. But yeah, they 3 times the national average. They recently closed 2 fire stations and kept a newly renovated station from reopening. So they renovated the fire station. They can't afford to open it. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And hey, we got the Netherlands in here also from Instagram side. Appreciate you so much. 1517, that would be 317, I believe, right? If I'm saying that right, in the afternoon. Am I right on that? 1517. How was their experience in India? Theirs was good. I know like any place, there can be problems, and certainly in areas of India there are some problems. I mean, it's like that in places. Choose a nation, and you could probably find that. They're the ones that I spoke to were great. I mean, they I don't remember what states they were in or like that. I just don't remember. It's been a while back. One was there for. I will say this: I had a friend. I won't use names. They went to, which is really big in some areas, the hookah bars or whatever you call it. they partook of some of the nice tobacco, just kind of immersing themselves in the culture, and they got so, I'll say, lightheaded that when they got back, they they did a test on themselves to make sure that they would not fail a drug test, and they come up clear because they said they felt like they had maybe ingested something else besides tobacco. But yeah, it was a good experience. I did have one person I knew. They had an orphanage there that they were going to, and they had warned them about not giving. And it's hard because we have a big, we have Americans, and for the most part, there's jerks everywhere, and they didn't want. Yeah, they carried away. Yeah, they were flying. We'll say that the magic carpet ride. That's what they felt like. But they were told not to give money to the beggars because it would cause a big problem. And there was a bunch of kids that came up, and the guy yeah, you kind of keep your hands in your pocket in this particular area till you get away from this area. Then they would go on out to the orphanage, and he got a little too. I mean, he's hard, man. He just wanted to help. These kids were starving, and he throwed some change. It caused just a mob. There were so many. They like, oh, he's giving us money, and they came after him, and boy, they gave him a hard time about that. Like, you can't do that here. You just can't do it. You can't. And you're going to experience this all over. So that was a couple of experiences, but it was good. That's a couple of stories that let out that they told me, but they had good experiences. And how's the weather in your area in India and the Netherlands today? We'll ask that. So they didn't reopen the firehouse that they newly renovated, and this is from a person on the ground there. He says, we have 3 firehouses currently closed, another 4 slated to close. This is just in Oakland, which would represent about 30% of our firefighting capacity here in Oakland, an absolutely catastrophic potential for the city of Oakland. And this was city council member Zach Unger. And he was an Oakland firefighter for 27 years. And he told Fox Digital this. He said that we simply cannot afford to lose 30% of our fire and emergency medical response. Firefighters and city officials have been working overtime and all hands on deck moment. Unger said to identify available funds in the city's budget and keep Oakland's firehouses open. Fire Chief Damon Covington told Fox Digital, excuse me, inroads have been made to prevent additional 4 fire stations from closing, but that's not to say closures won't come down the road. 7 firehouses would represent about 30% of our fire department. Covington said, it's a tremendous threat because ultimately we need more fire service to cover our city adequately. And to lose 2 firehouses and a third was under renovation, it taxes our workforce. Well, duh. I mean, what are you going to do? And you got fires in the area. Unbelievable. Yeah, and don't do that. We appreciate, if you're a teen and you don't do anything like smoking, so don't do that. I would recommend not doing that. Thank you for the wish there on a great broadcast. We appreciate that. Please come back and join with us. Give us a follow on the Instagram or wherever you're coming from, and stay with us. We have a lot of programming every week, and we like to have fun on the show. We talk about politics and different things, but we have a lot of fun. Come join our Cornbread Nation show on Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. live Eastern Standard Time. And and if nothing else, laugh at us. So the introduction of puppets into our show, and we're trying to have some fun. So people like to have fun. We talk serious stuff. You got to maintain this life balance thing. You can't. You get really mad. When you read some of these things like we're covering, you have to have a way to laugh through, not laugh at these situations, but you have to keep a balance. And so, we see that. I just feel bad for the people there. There's good people. Great people in California. I got friends that live in Cali, and some have left. They've just exiled themselves away. You're I know my limits. Not into politics. That's cool. But hey, I would just say pay attention to what's going on, and look into how you can make things better that way, and service in India or wherever. You never know how those things may turn, but at least pay attention to what people are doing. So do you play games, Crick? Or are you still, I guess you're still in school? I hope that you have a great day out there nonetheless, and enjoy your time. And we appreciate you being here through Twitch. And we don't get as many. That's a gaming channel a lot, but we broadcast there, and there's others who do. And we have a few followers there, and we appreciate the follow. It is growing a little bit, so it's a great platform, though. It's one of the better platforms for visuals. That and Kick, and those are considered gaming platforms. They come across better than some of the ones who specialize in live streams. I'll say that they have a great platform, and that's why we're there, because we just like the way it looks, and it's just another way for us to get out there and meet people like you. 11th grade, boy, I remember the 11th grade. Oh, what a great time. I was, a junior, getting ready for the senior year. I took a little bit different path. A few games sometimes, okay. We're old gamers here. We used to play. Robert still plays some, my co-host. I don't play as much anymore, or not really, hardly ever. Who knows if I don't have time. I know Rob has a little, because he's disabled. He has, it's something, a way to occupy his time when he's got everything else done. He has a lot to do as well, but he has a little bit more time than I have. So when you work a full-time job, I actually work a full-time job. I'm a manager, and then I work a little part-time. In fact, I'll be at work later today. I'm raising a granddaughter, so my wife is fully retired, and has some medical things she's got to work through as well. So I'm still out there getting it. Plus, we do all the podcasts, and I love it. I'm not complaining. I love it. We're diving into it. Our store is fixing to. It's out there, but we're fixing to really point people to it. We're really excited about the new store we have. The old store, we're going to drop the links. I just didn't like dealing with them. They were aggravation. It took massive amounts of time to set up the new store. Hello, Chick Crew and Lewis, coming in from the great state of Ohio. Hope you're doing well this morning. Also, but yeah, the fire department, they're just really ready to go. Just a great job there. I mean, you promise everybody everything, you give everybody everything, and there's no money for it. Yeah, Ohio, that's right. You cripple your budget. They just keep promising money out, and they go deeper and deeper into debt, and they don't have the means to keep their fire stations open. Are you kidding me? That's horrible. Hey, let's cover some good news in the MAGA movement. I think it's a MAGA movement kind of thing. Venezuela releases 6 Americans after Trump's envoy Richard Grenell pays a visit. I liked our debt conversation. I'm sure it's all on the good side. I didn't have to. You send in I'm thinking the movie The Godfather. He sends the guy out to California to. That he wants his guy to have the job, the movie role. The guy says, nobody leans on me. I'm this or that, and he invites the representative to dinner, and he says, oh, Chick, you're GOP, not MAGA. Okay, that's fine, but we support the MAGA movement here, obviously, but. He says, I must leave. Basically the Godfather likes to hear bad news immediately, and the guy wakes up with a horse head in the bed. I just wonder what that conversation. It was one of those wink, wink kind of things. Like, the president would really like for you to release these Americans. You kind of, he said, whatever he said, he probably said, "Are you threatening me?" He said, "Oh no, I don't. I'm not the muscle. I'm just the representative. I'm the envoy for the United States and for President Trump." And he goes, but if they're not released, I'm going to have to report back some bad news. I could just see Mr. Grenell saying, and the president does not like bad news. And I'm going to have to call him immediately and let him know. We'd really like for you to let these go. And of course, they got released. What's up with the plane crashes lately? Chick Crew. You know what? We got problems. And to be fair, this hasn't happened at this scale for 2 decades, but it still happened. And there are issues out there with, the infrastructure has got to be fixed on some things. It's really scary when you think about across the United States things they don't talk about. Out west, it would be the power. There's you got to go, Crick. Glad to have you here. Thank you for being here, and bye-bye to you. Enjoy your 11th grade, and thank you for that wish. We appreciate that, and we will. There's somebody out there that will listen to us. So yeah, the Texas power grid is one of those, Chick Crew, and it teeters on failure a lot. And remember the ice storm they had out there really bad couple years ago? That grid almost failed. That grid almost collapsed. And there was a report that came out, and they have to think in these terms. If your power grid goes down, and this is an antiquated grid, they've worked to upgrade some of it, but it needs a lot of money poured into it. If the grid goes down, it's not one of those like, okay, the grid collapses. You're not getting the grid up in 2 hours. You're not getting the grid up in 2 days. You may not have the grid back up in 2 weeks. It could be 3 weeks. That's just if a complete shutdown. And because there's damages that occurred, you have to bring it up in stages, and because they got problems. And they have done analyses of how many people will die in case the grid dropped. Well, the grid was within just moments of utter collapse, from what I've read. And there's a documentary you can watch about this that's out there. I've seen it on YouTube and some others. And the craziness of this and the estimation of failure of for people that die. Well, and there's all different kinds of reasons. I mean, people that need that for oxygen or support their sustainability of life or whatever, people that would starve to death or whatever. Uh, just all this things that would happen. I mean, when your grid goes down, bad things happen. I mean, it's not good not to have power. We're used to that, and it really is bad. And plus, it's cold. And you think of the cold, people that would freeze to death. So they have this number, and the number was pretty staggering. I don't remember what it was. I wish I had that in front of me, but somebody can look that up. But that's anywhere. But that was out there. That was the study they did there. And of course, going into California, the brownouts that occur, there's dangers. Uh, that when we talk about the failures of the Western power grid. So we're better here in the east on the East Coast. Maybe not in all areas, but we're pretty good on the East Coast and what comes into play here. We're pretty good. I mean, there's still a massive waste of money. There's things that we don't like about some things here, and we have pushed the system pretty far in extreme heat and extreme cold. There are limitations to it, but we do have nuclear reactors. There's one within 25 miles of me, and so there's energy that can move around too. Duke Energy can they can get from if it's available, and so they have agreements. So we're in pretty good shape here, but the Western power grid is in bad shape in many places. And I don't know if you've ever saw the. I know one of the guys was an actor who's very passionate about. He was on Tucker. May have been as much as a year ago or more. Talked about the solar flares and this. If we ever get one like we had back in the 1800s, it could really cripple most of the United States power grid. And there's fixes for it, but it's going to cost a lot of money, and nobody wants to spend it. So it's just a matter of not if, but when that kind of energy is released by the sun and comes at the power. We'll just collapse a lot of the type of technology that they have in place. They've just got to replace it and be ready for that. And so that's scary, and that's why a lot of people are getting ready. And I listen. I think it's wise to be ready. Yes, I think he was one of them that spoke out. I don't think he's the only one though, but I think there was some others as well. But I think he may have been the one chick. But I think it's good to be prepared. And people used to laugh and joke about the preppers. I think we've seen recently the wisdom of being prepared. The federal government, their actions with FEMA or lack thereof, and how people have been jerked around. It is wise. Certainly, it is always wise for anybody to have medications for a number of months built ahead if you can. Some things you can get in 3 months supplies anyway. They encourage that. That's wise to have. In 3 months, surely most of the things you can get figured out, at least on a temporary basis, if an emergency came. It's wise to have some liquid, financing, something that's not all sitting in a bank somewhere because of things that could happen there. It's wise to have something that you could use. It's wise to have some water, some extra water. I mean, water systems can also be bad in many areas of the country. In fact, around the world, clean water is one of the worst. That's one of the biggest challenges anyway. Is the water, having good clean water, including here in America. We know that from Flint, Michigan, and other places. It's good to have some kind of water that you keep, and you change it out or whatever, and you got to take care of that. You don't want bad water, but you can store up water for so long, and those are good things to have, as well as solar powered whatever, emergency radios, those kinds of things, because we've seen how these storms can come through, whether it's ice or snow or massive amounts of rainfall, hurricanes, what the damage that can be done, and have those resources, and or I know most Americans maybe not can afford it, but have a backup plan, if we even were to live. That's probably maybe one of those things. There's one thing about it. We can't have clean water if bureaucrats control the water departments. Well, that's true. I want to challenge you to look on your local water board and just look at how all these things interact. Notice who is the power and who's on all these boards and who is in control of your water. Go look at that. They slap each other on the back and take care of each other. That happens in a lot of cases. But yeah, be ready for stuff. And what I was going to say is real estate doesn't go down. And if a person could have a backup plan for a place to live, even if it's small, have a piece of land that you have somewhere that you could, if you had to, use, whether you put something small on there, or maybe, I don't know, a camper or trailer, or if it's allowed in that area, even, tiny house, I don't know, put something, but have you a piece of property that is somewhere that you could use as a backup. Might be wise to do. A lot of Americans just go but in a moment. They really do. It is about paying attention. It really is about paying attention, and just being brutal. My dad works on one we don't like. Wow. Okay. I had to deliver a water sample once from the company I worked for to the local, place. You take it to them, and they test the samples. We were ordered to take, we have a company that comes out, does that mostly, but for some reason I had to rush one over. And while I was there, the guy was doing the transfer document from me to him, and all, from my company to him, and they would test it and everything. I was reading on the wall. You look at stuff that's posted on the wall. I like reading stuff. See how outdated it is. I'm kind of a nut that way. And just see what they say. You're kind of like, it's just, what are they promoting? Most people don't look at that stuff. I'm curious. Well, I was looking at, and I didn't even know it wasn't in my county, although it was in the county that I worked in, obviously. But I was looking at who was on the water board. I was like, these are the same yokos that are over here being accused of wasting money and some political issues and all this stuff. These were the same people that was on the water board. You're going to move to Australia if the country goes downhill. So if it goes downhill, you're going down under. Okay. Well, I'll say this about Australia. Although we have a lot too. They have a lot of open land. And most people live on the coast, near the coast. So you got a whole bunch of interior there that you can go out to there, chick crew, and you could make you up a place and live there and enjoy life, or hopefully enjoy life. Levitt, I guess I should say, the spokesperson for the administration, said Trump to boost air safety agencies staffing. Well, I hope we can do that because it is certainly needed, and we've got to step that up. They're going to have to put an emphasis on this. They said that they were at safe levels at this one in D.C., but certainly they were not at full capacity. And I think I read somewhere this morning that somebody had left early, and they didn't have anybody to staff that. But they're supposed to have a certain amount at certain hours because obviously the air traffic is heavier at certain times at some airports. Maybe not all. Atlanta, I think, is busy. There's never a downtime or a slow time, but in some, maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe it is slower at night, out in the middle of the night. But they're intent on increasing staffing at air safety agencies. White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt said at a press briefing that's why he signed a very strong executive order on his second day in office, immediately terminating DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring practices at the FAA level. Following the tragic crash in the Oval Office yesterday, he signed a memorandum directing an immediate assessment of the FAA to ensure the federal government is maintaining the highest personnel and aviation safety standards. So Again, I'll go back to what I said in the beginning. I want the best person to be involved in something like that. If it's my surgeon, if it's the person directing my flight, whatever, something critical like that. I could deal with someone that's welcomed me in the store at the local box store. I applaud that. I love that. If nothing else, they're moving buggies or shaking hands, greeter, whatever you want to call it. I love that. There's sometimes those people. I knew a guy in my area, and he was in a tragic car wreck, and it really messed him up. I think he has since passed. It's been a few years, but he passed away. And he really took the locals to task too around here. He got him a motorized wheelchair, and he would go everywhere. He would go to city council meetings, and he would go online, and he would really petition about having sidewalks, because he would drive down the road and people say he's going to get killed. He's in the drive lane. Well, according to the rules, he has a right to be there just as much. And I know people complain about bicycles or whatever, but he said, "Listen, build me some sidewalks. I'll get off the road." But he worked as a greeter at the local box store for years. And he rode that thing back and forth. You know what? He stayed a productive member of society. God bless him. And they did improve the sidewalks on the main highway. It was the side road he had to go down to get to his home, and so he had no other way to get there. And he said, if somebody wants to pick me up and take me to work and bring me home, then I'll take it. But if not, I'm riding this wheelchair, and you can just deal with it. And the police would stop him and all this stuff and say, it's unsafe for you to be here. And he would say, well, I got to go to work. And he was in pretty bad shape, but he went to work. He stayed productive. I even seen him down in the national battlefield riding around. I mean, he got around on that thing. I mean, that thing had an amazing battery pack on it or something. I was pretty amazed. Chickbait said, I asked the question, who's better, Costco or Sam's Club? Well, I don't know that I'm the one to answer that. I guess you could find things that you like with both. I'm not a card carrying member of either, so I don't think that I could actually answer that question. Uh, I'm just not. I'm not sure what I would say on that. I know that a lot of people that I talk to really like Costco. Now, my wife does go there, and I don't know if she has the card or my son. But you hear a lot about the $1.50 hot dogs. I think it is. You hear a lot about that. Uh, I don't know. But back in the day, I mean, Sam's Club was the one, but Costco's really made a good move. Costco has also taken some heat lately for some things that they've promoted as well. So I guess that's the way it is with all of them, though. So I really don't know. Which one do you prefer? Which one do you prefer? The $1.50 hot dog sodas. Yeah. Okay. I was going. I know my son. I think my son has the card. I was going to get her one and just haven't done it because she'll ask me sometimes, "How's my Costco card?" You haven't gotten it. She may have gotten one. I mean, it's not like she don't go and do, but they're like they're two peas in a pod. They're constantly running around. My oldest son, and her. Uh, do they have those hanging up, Chick? I haven't been there, so I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if they have pride flags up. I don't know because I haven't been there. I don't know what they have. I think I did go ride with somebody who pulled in and got gasoline there, but I did go inside. They don't. You were joking. Okay. Well, I appreciate you making the offer. You know what? You don't have to. You wouldn't have to do that anyway. I look at it like this: if I want to go in a place, I'll go in. If I don't, I don't. And that's to my discretion. If I went into a place, yeah, they do have some good gas prices. If I don't want to go into a place because of something they're promoting or something, then I'm sure they're not going to miss me that much. It's not like they are, unless it's on a massive scale. You're not going to change their opinion about stuff. So I make those decisions, and for me, I don't make a big deal about it. So I did see that. I thought that was you. But I appreciate the like. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for everybody that's here. We've got quite a few. And but yeah, I don't make a big deal about it. I don't create the video and say, hey, yeah, I do. I mean, I'm a creator and I do a lot of videos, but I usually don't try to do that top. If I had an experience, I would share it. That was not, thank you. Well, I appreciate it. I would say something if there was something I wanted to, that I felt like I needed to say. It was an experience that I would do that. But I don't go looking for the bad and then try to make a video and say, look at what they're doing here. That's not a game. I'm not putting it down. If somebody does, that's fine. But I don't go looking for those type of things with you know trying to create a video on somebody or something. And I try to keep that perspective. I work for the company. Everything that's there is theirs. I don't say this is my office or this is my this. I'll say this is the office they work out of, because it's not mine really. It's really it's theirs, and I try to just leave things on that level. And the same way with jobs, I could stay with a job, or I could I've been at the same company for a long, long time, so I'm not likely to change, and I'm closer to the end than the beginning, and I would hope that I could do that. But I just don't. I don't really make a big deal that way. Now, if there's something that the difference I would say on that is this: if it's something that, because as an adult you make your own decisions, whatever people want to be, but children, that's a different thing. Now, I would really go to task over that if a child was. If there was something I felt was harmful or something like that in the store, that would be different. I would join in and really go to task against that, because that's ridiculous. But so yeah, there's places I don't go, and if I go, and as long as it's not in my face, I went to a restaurant once, and and I don't know what the lady's problem was. I'm not going to name the restaurant. I don't like doing that unless it's just necessary for the story. But and I don't eat at this place very often. And I do like their food, and I took my family there, and I'm not blaming the place. I'm blaming the person they had working for them. Of course, they're representing them, and so when I went, we sat down, me and the family. It was me, my wife, I think my granddaughter. I know my granddaughter's with us. I know that, and it's not a big deal to me. I don't drink. I did drink. That's one time in my life. I don't drink. I'm not freaking out because somebody on the table over across from me has a beer or I don't. There's the bar in some of these restaurants. I don't go that, but I did. They had I don't know, the drink listing or something there, and I just told the lady she could take that. There wasn't a lot of space on the table anyway, and I said you could just take this, and while we're here, we won't need that. And I think that made her mad. And we were just in a great mood. And so the second thing that happened, well, that was nothing big, but she felt like she didn't like it. The second thing that happened is that she came to get the order, and we told her that we pray over our dinner, and while we prayed, if there was anything that we could pray for her about, did she have anything that was a prayer need that we thought we could we would be glad to pray for her. And she said no, nothing. Got an attitude. I don't need prayer. So I forget. It was really negative. It was just saying, no, I'm okay or whatever. It was kind of negative. And I thought, okay, that was kind of odd. So, when the food came, and my granddaughter at this time, she's 12 now. At this time, she was a lot younger. This has been a few years ago. And, we were waiting for her to sort of move out of the way so that we could pray over our meal. And I'm not making a point there. That's what we do. We do ask a blessing over our meal. And anyway, Kaylee, my granddaughter, reached for something on a plate, and I said, "No, no, wait." As any parent would say, "Wait." We're going to pray. And the lady took the opportunity to say this. Yeah, I said all that. Those things were minor, nothing big. But this is the point where me and her really got. It really went downhill, because when you hear a parent say something, I mean, it's not my job. I'm not the parent to tell that person that to do opposite. And so what she told my granddaughter is she said, "No, it's okay, baby. If you want one, you can have it." And Kaylee looks at me like her hand's still back. I said, "Don't do it." And I said, we pray over our meal. And I told the lady, I said, "Ma'am, this is my child, not yours. Don't ever tell my child to do something that I've told her not to do. And if you can't do that, then I request another waitress." Well, I was fuming, but I kept it civil. And I think she was whacked out on pills, to be honest. She looked a little crazy. I've never seen anybody do that. Uh, I've never seen that. I was like, what in the world? I've heard stories about it, but I've never seen that happen. So it just, I was like, I'm not going to come back here for a while, because I'd had a couple of other bad experiences in this particular place, and I just felt like they weren't friendly to me and my family. Um, all alcohol does is kill brain cells. Well, maybe. I know a lot of people like to drink. And again, yes, we all need to pray every day, Chick. I'll support that. Our Rumble channel it's Southern_fried_podcast. Southern_fried_podcast, I believe, on the Rumble. Or maybe that's Instagram. Anyway, it's Southern Fried Podcast. But there is two different channels there. There's Southern Fried Podcast. There's also SF Podcasting for Southern Fried Podcast. We have a couple of channels there. And there's also we have a channel called Cornbread Nation. But our biggest one is Southern Fried Podcast. Maybe it's not underscore. Maybe that's Instagram, Chick. So anyway, I can send it to you if appreciate your follows today and your likes. We appreciate that, and all the people being in here. So let's continue on. I've digressed, and I do want to cover a few things while I'm in this. Being here a little longer. I'm actually going to do 2 or 3 lives this morning, and I want to get through this first one here. Another thing that I wanted to highlight is, according to Gateway Pundit, in Arizona, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs is under fire after, here's a nice number for you, $339 million disappeared from state budget as the budget director mysteriously resigns. Oh, yes. Ain't this nice? Maybe somebody's siphoning off some funds, he clarified. This was Arizona State Representative Alex Culloden called Arizona's illegitimate Democrat governor out in a letter to her office Thursday. He said, maybe somebody's siphoning off some funds, he clarified. Maybe some are mistakes. Who knows? But they don't match up. This is not the first nor the second time Hobbs has come under scrutiny for mismanagement or corruption involving large sums of money. As the Gateway Pundit reported in November, Hobbs was in the spotlight after her Office of Tourism awarded a $700,000 contract to create a hideous new state logo to a company with close ties to the agency's director. Hobbs' fake director of tourism has been caught funneling massive contracts to her own brother, State Senator Jake Hoffman said. Katie Hobbs continues to exploit her office, break the law, and take advantage of the people of Arizona. Wow. I mean, we know that's been some top battles out there for those elections. And wow, they need to get into that. But yeah, I mean, where does these monies go? And I'm glad the president is doing a complete investigation of. I doubt we'll have any kind of credible resources to find out where the monies went in Ukraine. Where has that money went? Has it truly went to the soldiers? I know that it went to support critical infrastructure. It even went to support pensions, pay insurance for the state workers and everything else in Ukraine. It wasn't all going to the front lines. But I'll be willing to bet you will not be able to find very much accounting of where that money has went. And yes, there is the charge that some of that money was funneled back into pockets here in the States. I would not be surprised at that at all. Because when you have that amount of money, the lack of oversight that the last administration has had, you're going to have problems. You absolutely are going to have problems. And appreciate you on Podbean, Maven. Appreciate the heart there. We appreciate those. And thanks for being here and being a follower. of the broadcast. And thanks for all the Instagram folks that have continued to come in. Happy Saturday. I had a boss once and he would say, Happy Saturday or Happy Monday or Happy Tuesday. So I'll give you a Happy Saturday. I never saw him on Saturday. I guess it was always Happy Monday, Happy Tuesday, or whatever. Some people didn't like that because they didn't want to be happy. It's Robert says Southern is a state of mind. Being happy is a decision I make every day. I don't like to go around being happy. I get aggravated at stuff, sure. Some days I don't feel good, but I try to be happy. I try to laugh and cut up, and you got to have a balance in those things. Okay, Chick, we'll hook up with you and talk about whatever. So we'll be glad to do that. Just give me a little time, and we'll be glad to talk to you. So yeah, massive problems there on that front in Arizona. Hopefully they'll get to the bottom of that. Also, the president has been working feverishly to straighten out some of these agencies, and some of the workers have been given buyout options. They're supposed to let him know early February, just in a few days, whether they're going to take those or not. So he's really going after these agencies. He's taken the as far as I think it's the State Department. He has took the T. Ordered that taken down in the LGBT. T is gone. They have removed the T. Well, that's going to get a lot of attention. I'm surprised it's not already, but that has happened. Most of there's an article in Newsmax that the administration, this was on Friday, that were putting a pause on most federal government websites at 5 p.m. I have not checked to see if that happened, but CBS News has reported, the first report that shortly after 5 p.m., the U.S. Census website went down for some users. It was not immediately clear how many other websites has gone down. I say they're scrubbing some stuff on those. They're scrubbing some stuff that's been put up on those. And so I imagine that is part of what's going on here, that sometimes you have to take those sites down, especially sites that are not complying with the directives that the president has said. So there are some government websites that may not be accessible this weekend or even in the first of the week until they get things taken care of, because he has ordered those down. And because there are things that they've told them to stop promoting, and those sites that have not done that, they're being taken down until they comply. Also today, tariffs are due on Canada, Mexico, and China. And so we'll see how this goes. And quickly before we come to the end of this session, I will be back. I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to switch channels. It's easier to keep this channel, keep the shows a little shorter and then upload the ones that we don't go live to. So I'm going to take a quick break here in a moment, and I'll be back. I'm going to change the name of the show, and we'll come back. If you want to join me, I will be live in about 10 or 15 minutes. It won't be no longer than that. And just enough time to switch things over. But also, when we come back, we'll continue to look at some of these things. But also, it's reported Shell quits the New Jersey offshore wind farm. I know he has really been in that. Well, thank you, Chick. I appreciate you saying that. We're among your favorite or your favorite. Oh, you're so sweet. You're so kind. And I like your channel. Have you put up anything lately? Yes, email me, Chick. Have you put up any shows? We had last night, we had such great fun, for those that were not here, with our friend Steve from Half Pine Forge on Rumble. He went for his first live. We kind of pulled his up into our stream and helped promote him. And give him a follow. If you like blacksmithing or you just like a funny guy, cool guy, follow the Half Pine Forge live on Rumble. He has other channels on X and the regular Rumble channel, but that's where he does lives. But you can follow his Rumble channel. He has recorded shows. Half Pine Forge on Rumble and X. You'll laugh. He's funny. So he does have his first live up, and you can go back and see that. And he made a few things. So if you're the smithy kind of thing or just a funny guy, give Steve I am a satisfied customer of his as well. In fact, I've got a delivery coming in Monday with some latest things. One of those things is going to hang in this studio. This studio is supposed to be getting some work done on today. My son, baby boy, supposed to get some work done in here. I got to get my new desk set up. We're going to have a new layout a little bit, hopefully here by tomorrow, certainly for Monday. So, but yeah, yes, Chick, we will. So we're going to close this one. We'll be back. Thanks for being here. If you can't join us, thanks for joining this one. And we'll be back soon. And I'll change the name. It won't be Southern Fried MAGA. We'll call it something. We've got 2 or 3 different shows, names of shows, and it'll be just look for the Southern Fried Podcast to jump up on whatever you're viewing from, and stay with us. And we'll continue for a little bit this morning, and before I head off to work and spend the bulk of the day looking for bad people. No, hopefully no bad people today. Take care. We'll see you in a few minutes. Hopefully, if not, salute you. Take care.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show.